we'll have status updates from the Space Coast. Plus, a new bill to ban cell phones in schools. What will it look like for Central Florida? And we're investigating why Florida's Stand Your Ground law didn't keep a robbery victim out of jail. This is News 6 Mornings.
Hey, good morning on your hump day. It is 7 o'clock. I'm Crystal Moyer.
I'm Justin Mormouth. Trooper Steve here watching the roads. We do have something to talk about, obviously, but Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos leads us off, and it's a bit of a chilly morning, but a really nice day shaping up.
A nice, cool, clear start across Central Florida, but we are going to be heating up to near 90 degrees, though, as we head into the weekend. We're talking the hottest weekend of the year so far.
Sounds good.
Which, before you know it, that's not even, 90's going to feel nice.
Give it 2 months.
All right, let's take a live look outside. Daytona Beach sky cam. You see it? You see it there? Is it the sunrise? Almost. We got half an hour left before we get official sunrise there. Daytona Beach sky cam looking clear at 49 degrees. We're starting to see a bit of a breeze right now, gusting up to about 10 to 15 miles per hour. But elsewhere, it's a nice, cool, calm start. We are all in those low 40s from areas up and down the 75 corridor, still at 49 in Sanford, 48 degrees currently there in Kissimmee. So as the kids are heading to that bus stop right now, again, we're nearing the 50-degree mark in many locations, so maybe a light jacket could be useful. And then as we head into the afternoon, we are back into the upper 70s. We are going to be pinpointing again the return of the 90s, what our next best shot for rain is, and we got something cool going on in that sky later on Friday morning coming up in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways. For Steve, it's been a long week.
We wish it was Friday already.
I thought this morning it was Friday.
Yeah, but it's not even Thursday.
I thank you. Yeah, I know.
I just realized that. Ouch. I-4 looking decent this morning. Trying to encourage Sky 6 to head out to the east side for me. However, I don't think they're going to be able to simply because air traffic control. I'm talking about this right here. We do have a crash at Goldenrod right there at Colonial. This area gets really busy. They're indicating that it's in southbound portion of Goldenrod with a single travel lane block. Obviously, I like to get eyes on. So if I can get Sky 6 out here, we'll keep you informed a little bit more. But again, just west of 417, Union Park area, Goldenrod, and Colonial. UCF, good morning to you guys. Alafaya Trail, looking good. Gets back to you.
Trooper Steve, you may be looking forward to the weekend, but many folks looking forward to a launch. The countdown clock ticking down. Less than 13 hours to go before our next crewed launch from Central Florida. And the mission will send 4 more astronauts to the space station and also clear the way for the Starliner crew to finally come home.
A huge mission here, and it's also expected to bring another boost to the Space Coast heading into the busy spring break season. News 6's Mark Lehman following the latest live for us this morning. And Mark, tonight's launch has the potential to be spectacular.
Hey, it could be a really cool sight. As it stands now, we're looking at clear skies, a sunset liftoff, and extra interest in this mission. And business owners along the Space Coast, including here in Titusville, couldn't ask for a better situation, and they're hoping that it translates to more money for their bottom line. As NASA and SpaceX are counting down Crew 10's launch of 4 astronauts to the ISS, tens of thousands are expected to flock to the coast for a chance to witness the post-sunset liftoff. What's the excitement like out here?
Just you hope, you pray everything goes well, and there's a lot of hollering and whistles. And
David Lane is among dozens staying in Jetty Park, one of the prime viewing spots on the water. He's expecting things to get crowded with families planning trips around the launch.
it's great for the economy, and yeah, you guys live down here, so you see it all the time. It's just growing.
Couple that with spring break, and Space Coast businesses are looking at an influx in tourism, which visitors tell us they're already seeing. What do you think this will mean for, I guess, businesses here in Brevard County?
Oh, I think it's going to be great, and then with all the cruise ships that are in and out of here, too.
There's also extra attention on Crew 10's mission as it marks the beginning of a return home for astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, the two joining Crew 9 after their Boeing Starliner capsule malfunctioned in June.
Those people up there, they've been there for the last maybe 6 months.
9 months.
9 months? Yeah. So it will be nice if they come down and they'll be safe,
And as we're all looking forward to the Crew 10 launch, it appears things are on track. A liftoff is set for 7:48 tonight, and if it happens, you can watch it live here on News 6, clickorlando.com, and our News 6 Plus streaming platform. We're now reporting live in Titusville. Mark Lehman, getting results, News 6.
All right, Mark, thanks. And we could also be setting up for a launch doubleheader tonight, 2 for the price of 1. That's because SpaceX once again scrubbed a planned Starlink launch last night. It is now set for tonight at 10:20 from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. That would be less than 3 hours after the Crew 10 liftoff. Meantime, new from overnight, there was another SpaceX launch just hours ago, this one from California. That Falcon 9 brought a new space telescope into orbit, along with a group of smaller satellites that will study the sun's outer atmosphere and solar winds.
New this morning, a man is facing charges accused of inappropriately touching a young girl at an Orange County resort. 72-year-old William Chattel faced a judge yesterday, one day after his arrest on molestation charges. According to the arrest report, the victim was swimming in the lazy river at the Club Wyndham Bonnet Creek Resort when Chattel swam up and touched her underwater. Now, the girl says it happened both Sunday and Monday before she told her mother. Turns out Chattel was arrested on similar charges back in 2017 after being accused of inappropriately touching a child at a Goodwill store where he worked.
Right now, two Volusia County teens are facing serious charges after deputies say they threatened to kill another student. This is video here showing deputies escorting the Taylor Middle High School students into custody. We are not showing their faces or naming them because of their ages. Investigators say they received several tips about the threat after comments were made in a chat room with the teens targeting a student at DeLand High School. Deputies say it was all because of a fight over a girl. Investigators say despite the threat, the teens did not have access to any guns.
Well, Florida's crackdown on cell phones in schools could soon get a whole lot stronger. A bill has cleared one House committee that wouldn't just ban phones during class time, but during the entire school day. And new this morning, our education expert is weighing in on the idea. News 6's Angie Casada is live in Orange County. And Angie, the restrictions are similar to rules Orange County has already had in place for over a year.
Yeah, Crystal, that's right. And Orange County says that their ban has gotten results. That's why so many are wanting the change to be statewide. Now, lawmakers and a lot of the school leaders that we spoke with say that this cell phone has become a huge problem and that, less screen time would mean better behavior and a focus on learning.
Right now, Florida law already bans students from using their phones during instructional time. But this new bill would go even further, making phones off limits from bell to bell, even during lunch. It's a plan Jason Rodriguez, the former principal of Seminole High, endorses.
If we can get cell phones off campuses, let's do it right now.
Supporters say this could remove distractions, improve learning, and boost student engagement with teachers and peers.
I think we have evidence from a school district here in Florida, Orange County Public Schools, that implemented a full-day cell phone-free environment, and their evidence is pretty astounding. Just a couple things that I noted in their high schools: 31% decrease in fighting, 21% decrease in serious misconduct, 158% decrease in school threats.
The bill currently in the Florida House would roll out the ban statewide. The Senate version is a little different and would instead test the restrictions in 6 districts, ranging from small to large counties.
It is a massive distraction. It is a constant battle. Kids become confrontational if you're addressing them about their cell phones. Not all, but many times. The student use of the phones in a negative capacity far exceeds any positive use that is being derived from them.
Now back here live, the House version of the bill passed an education subcommittee yesterday and still has several stops to go before it's a done deal. But the bill does have some critics, with some parents raising concerns that they wouldn't be able to reach their children in case there was an emergency. Reporting in Orlando, Angie Casada, Getting Results, News 6.
Angie, thank you. A unanimous vote in Brevard County means the end of a soup kitchen that feeds more than 100 people every day. Late last night, the Melbourne City Council voted to approve a plan to build an affordable housing complex designed to help people transitioning out of homelessness. However, that starts the clock for the closing of Daily Bread Soup Kitchen in 60 days. Despite the closure, the organization's executive director shared support for the new development.
But this is a change that is 6 years in the coming. It's time for us to move forward with a model that's going to be more effective to really address homelessness and the housing crisis in our community, and we're ready to do it.
The Daily Bread says it'll transition into mobile outreach services. The new complex expected to be completed by the end of 2027. President Trump has officially increased tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports to 25%, and this morning that's increasing worries about the impact it'll have on the economy. According to the Commerce Department, the U.S. imported more than $58 billion worth of aluminum, steel, and iron last year. Some of that is used to make cars, which some economists say will likely drive up prices as automakers pass the costs to consumers. Prices could also go up on things like appliances and medical devices. Trump, though, is defending the move, saying we have been, quote, ripped off by other countries for years and that they will bring more American jobs.
New images caught on camera showing the moment an EF2 tornado ripped through a Seminole County neighborhood. Take a look at this video. You could see the wind pick up the items and just they're flying around. At one point, a fence crashes down. In all, more than 50 homes were damaged, but thankfully, no one was hurt. And Candace, you were telling me about, some things that we see in the video that's indicative of a tornado or some rotation there.
Right. And normally when we have straight line damaging winds, everything just kind of blows in one direction. But if you notice the beginning of that footage, everything goes from one side of the screen, and then when the tornado's moving on to the other side, everything kind of flips to the other side of the screen. So that's the signs that we look to kind of indicate if that damage is from either straight line winds or from a tornado. And of course, that was confirmed on Monday. Live look, by the way, that was confirmed on air during that tornado warning. Looking here, Cape Canaveral Launch Credit Union camera. It's a beautiful start to the day. That sunrise, 7:38. So we just got a couple more minutes. 46 degrees right now with temperatures into those mid 70s. But we do have that launch scheduled later on tonight. As of now, conditions are looking great. The only small issue right now is the ascent recovery, and that's because it is a crewed launch. We have humans on board, and because of that, they need to, of course, watch to see the conditions under the rocket in case they do need to abort. You can see that this zone here in the northern Atlantic could be a little dicey when it comes to those high seas. We do have a total lunar eclipse. Speaking of all things space, we'll have more details on that coming up in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your pinpoint traffic.
All I think about every time is a song. Every time you say that, the total eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
How do I know? Our jukebox, Crystal Moyer over there, immediately was going to pull that out. Sky 6 is detouring for me. They're going to head out to the east side here just to check out this crash before they go refuel this morning, Goldenrod and Colonial, just because it is reported with roadblock. Please be careful. Outside of that, look at this, 417 looking nice this morning at the 38. A lot of construction out there, but the travel lanes looking good. We only see those major delays tend to be in the evening hours. Right now, 47, just a couple miles north at 417, not 47. We don't have a 47. And then I-4 at Lake Mary, that is real. We are super slow right now, westbound. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. 712 changes following that deadly midair collision in Washington, D.C.
Coming up, the ban now being extended after a preliminary report from the NTSB.
First, though, a spending bill aimed at averting a government shutdown passed in the House, where the measure is now headed and the opposition it's expected to face. Lawmakers in the U.S. House have narrowly passed a spending bill aimed at preventing a government shutdown later this week. Now it's up to the Senate, where passage won't be easy. The House bill, which would fund the government through September, includes a significant downsize of the federal government and boosts funding for immigration enforcement. But it's faced strong opposition from Democrats, and bipartisan support will be needed in the Senate to get it over the finish line and to the president's desk.
The House Republican spending bill is an attack on everyday Americans.
This is not a game. The government shuts down on March 14th. We have to get it done.
So if there's no agreement, a partial government shutdown will go into effect midnight Friday.
Changes to the airspace over Washington, D.C. following this deadly midair collision in January involving an American Airlines plane and an Army Black Hawk helicopter. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced an extended ban on all helicopter traffic along the route near Reagan National Airport. The decision came just hours after the NTSB issued its preliminary report into the January 29th crash that killed 67 people after both aircraft crashed into the Potomac River.
At best, we're in a situation where we're threading a needle allowing helicopters to fly down the same airspace as landing aircraft. And why this information wasn't studied and known before January 29th is an important question.
The NTSB says its investigation will likely last more than a year.
New this morning, investigators in Marion County working to figure out what started a fire that sent one person to the hospital. These are pictures taken from the scene yesterday along Southwest 22nd Lane in Silver Springs. Firefighters say flames and smoke pouring from that mobile home when they arrived on scene. After the flames were out, investigators say they unfortunately found 2 dogs dead inside. Firefighters say one person did suffer smoke inhalation but should be okay. Drivers in one part of Orange County are about to get some relief from traffic backups and delays near a busy school. The county has announced plans to make improvements to Tiny Road. That's in the Horizon West community. For years, drivers have dealt with congestion from Bridgewater Middle and, of course, the growth in the area. Right now, the road is 2 lanes, 1 in each direction, but the county announced plans to add expanded lanes, several roundabouts, and bike lanes.
Tiny Road leading up to Bridgewater, we've got all these residences, people who want to be able to utilize that walkability and bikeability, but we don't have that multi-use trail. This design provides that.
The exact plans not yet finalized, and county leaders say there is still time for public input. New this morning, a creepy sight caught on camera in Pennsylvania, and it's raising a lot of questions.
I'll say a homeowner's Ring camera captured a visit from someone claiming to be the box demon.
I am the box demon. I believe this box is a gift for you.
Yeah, as you just saw, the masked person leaned into the doorbell camera and said they were leaving a gift. Police were called, and when officers arrived, they opened the box, but say it was empty.
That's a relief.
Now the big question this morning is whether this was some kind of threat or just a prank. Either way, it certainly is creepy, that mask DIY.
I would be
Clearly.
knocking someone out.
We know.
I'm just
among other things.
Yeah.
That would be a different story if it was maybe in a different state.
100%.
Like
100%.
What are you thinking? Like you're not.
Maybe they're not thinking.
They're not. That's the thing. Can't fix.
They got hold of the wrong stuff there. I don't know what was going on.
At least the box is empty.
You could hear the cadence and the voice. Like I just
Something
seemed
sounds
like
off.
Something was. Yeah.
What? Something's off with that character.
No way. That's like that's not the mailman.
I don't want to go out on a limb here, but
Hey, that's going to be the next movie to come out on streaming, The Box Demon.
Yeah, file that under the Snakes on a Plane.
Gosh, all right, let's talk about
Sharknado.
Oh gosh. All right, let's talk about your forecast for today. This week we are warming up, and we are warming up fast, everybody, as temperatures are going to continue to climb into the 80s by tomorrow, near 90s by the weekend. Now, late Sunday, early Monday, I think we're going to have a relatively dry day Sunday and Monday. But we are watching the approach of another cold front. The timing still looks to be mostly overnight, again, early St. Patrick's Day, as we are going to watch a little bit of rain along our next cold front. Now, temperatures out the door. It's clear, it's calm, it's cool. We have just enough of a light breeze in place to keep any fog concerns out of the story, at least for this morning. We're at 45 degrees in the Villages, 51 in Orlando, 55 degrees there in Cocoa Beach. But now as you check your hour-by-hour forecast, our high today will be back into the upper 70s, between about 78 to about 80 degrees. So just a touch above average. Tons of sunshine, still feeling very pleasant, very nice. So a perfect playground day if you need that for an after school or extracurricular activity with the little ones or yourself. adults can still play on the playground anyway. Looking at those lows later on tonight, we're back into those upper 40s across our far northern zones. We'll have a few less 40s in the forecast later on tonight, early tomorrow morning, a few more 50s further south. But we are going to be tracking just a little bit of dense fog early tomorrow morning. I don't think we're going to have a big widespread concern, but you can see here visibility will start to develop out along the 75 corridor. Again, this is not this morning, but later on tonight into early Thursday morning. So just do be aware of that. So let's talk about that next big system. Temperatures are going to be into the upper 80s on Saturday, all continuing to build in that heat ahead of our next cold front. This is the GFS. This is one of the many models we are looking at. But this one gives us kind of a clearer picture a little further down range here, just to kind of show you visually that it's going to get hot as we head into your Sunday. Could be the hottest day of the year. Could be our first 90-degree day of the year before the rain comes through, and then things will nicely cool off, though, as we head into your St. Patty's Day. As you get results here, the full 7-day forecast. I put Pie Day up there because I have a pie icon and I wanted to use it, and I like to decorate. And then you can see that we're going to continue to see much cooler air as we enter into the second half of next week. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
All right, we did have a crash right outside of school zone. They have cleared this out. Sky 6 was just over this at 434 out there by Sand Lake. But man, I wish they'd turn their camera around. This is gorgeous out there. Candace has got all the nice cameras now. But Sky 6 is headed out towards the east side to check out this crash for me at Colonial and Goldenrod. But the views up there, they're perfect right now. I'm not picking up in a delay out here. FHP has been dispatched. I am picking up the delays, though, westbound I-4 in Seminole County. Heavy. No crashes. Increase the following distance. And let's get through a Wednesday that should be a Friday, right? Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Super Steve. It's 7:21 on your Wednesday. A bill aimed at doing away with later start times for high schoolers moving forward.
At the bottom of the hour, the problems districts say it could cause.
But first, Southwest grounding its most popular perk. How passengers are reacting to news they'll soon have to pay for those checked bags. This morning, we're hearing reaction from passengers following a big announcement by Southwest, the airline doing away with its free checked bags policy. And as you can imagine, many are not happy about it.
Well, why fly Southwest? That was the purpose of doing it. It was awesome.
My curiosity is, who are you trying to be? And then it changes who's going to fly with you.
I never had to worry about how much to pack. Guess that's going to change. Southwest announced yesterday it will begin charging for flyers' first and second checked bags beginning May 28th. Only the airline's most elite Rapid Rewards A-list preferred members, say that 10 times fast, and those who book top-tier business select fares will get their first 2 bags free. The change comes just months after Southwest did away with another long-standing perk, open seating.
Wait, Southwest has business class? I haven't flown in a while.
The more you know.
Last time I did it, they didn't have business class. But anyway, a new warning when it comes to microplastics in the environment. A study found that they could make bacteria more resistant to antibiotics. Researchers at Boston University recently tested how E. coli reacted to microplastics. The study found that after the bacteria grew on the plastics, antibiotics didn't work as well in fighting the illness. Experts say the findings are alarming, especially for lower income communities with large amounts of microplastics. New this morning, saunas have been mainstays at gyms for decades, right? But now the spaces are heating up thanks to their potential health benefits.
Yeah, new medical research shows saunas can help decrease blood pressure. There's also studies showing that people's arteries and blood vessels appear healthier after some time in a sauna. However, physicians say there's some debate over how long a person should spend in the rooms.
We need more randomized controlled trials. We need more specific data on different demographics.
Doctors say saunas should not be used by people who've recently suffered a heart attack or have other serious heart conditions.
Every time I'm in the sauna, I'm not the guy, though, that gets that spoon, that big wooden spoon, and gets it going. I don't know what that does, but a legal fight over Florida's stand your ground law.
Coming up, why one robbery victim who opened fire killing a teenage boy was told the law doesn't apply to his case.
We'll be right back.
Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results.
Good morning, Central Florida. I'm Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. We've got a big ridge of high pressure that's going to keep conditions nice and normal today, back into the upper 70s, but keeping us very dry. Those clear skies this morning, keeping temperatures in those 40s and 50s. But as we head into the afternoon, we're back into those upper 70s throughout the day under mostly clear skies. We are going to be warming up. Looks to be the hottest weekend of the year so far, nearing 90 degrees. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve, where we have a traffic alert.
That's right, guys. So we do have a vehicle out in the water here in Oviedo. This is going to be Colonial Drive over by Blackwood, with Blackwood seeing a lot of the delays out here. I'm not sure what the situation is, but the visual here, pretty intense. So if you're traveling through this area, just understand you're going to run into a lot of first responder traffic. Again, Colonial Drive at Blackwood Avenue. The news continues next. Now, remember, you can get updates on our big stories anytime over at clickorlando.com. Drive safely, and we'll be back in a few.
This portion of the news is sponsored by AK Certified Roofing. Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results in your neighborhood. Now it's 7:30.
We are counting down to SpaceX's next crewed launch from our coast. How this mission paves the way for another crew to finally return after an unexpected extended stay in space.
A former deputy back in court after being charged with killing a woman in Titusville. The evidence in her home, police say, points to foul play.
And a Central Florida man claiming the stand your ground law on an attempted robbery 6 years ago. Why a judge says this time it does not apply. Good morning to Central Florida. It is 7:30. I'm Justin Warma.
And I'm Crystal Moyer. Thanks for staying with us here on clickorlando.com and News 6 Plus. We'll have those stories ahead, but we want to start with a check of your pinpoint weather with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos.
Hey, check out this live look, everybody. Daytona Beach sky cam. A beautiful start to the day. The winds are much lighter than they were yesterday, so a nice calm start. A picture-perfect start along our beaches. And overall, the weather is going to get even better for beachgoers who are really trying to embrace this annual spring break. 49 degrees right now in Daytona Beach. We've been staying in those upper 40s for quite some time. That breeze light out of the southwest. But into the afternoon, we are going to be rebounding back into those mid 70s. Now, temperatures elsewhere, just beyond Daytona Beach, we're at 46 degrees in DeLand, same throughout the villages, 52 in Leesburg and Claremont, but Cocoa Beach still holding on to the warmest spot at 55. Now, speaking of the beach forecast, we're going to be back into those upper 70s today. Water temperature, though, still too cool for me to go in. Moderate risk of rip currents there with the surf less than about 2 feet. But again, the temperatures will be making it feel like perfect beach/pool weather if you don't mind the frigid polar plunge in the ocean. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll have more details. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your pinpoint traffic.
I do have a vehicle in the water right now out in Ocoee. So this is going to be Colonial Drive at Blackwood, predominantly Blackwood. That's going to be off to the left-hand side of your screen here. You can see the right lane northbound's currently shut down. A lot of people out of their vehicles. They did get water rescue out here. From what I understand, they have removed someone from that vehicle. I don't have a complete update on it, but just the joint response on something like this is always logistically rather interesting to look at. But again, Colonial, Blackwood, way out on the west side here, seeing some minor delays out on Colonial. Just make sure you're paying attention to what's going on in front of you, because we know traffic just likes to stop when things are going on the shoulder. Guys, back to you.
Scary situation there. Thanks, Trooper Steve. Happening today, NASA and SpaceX are counting down to the next crewed launch from our coast. These 4 astronauts are set to lift off to head to the International Space Station, but the mission will also clear the way for Boeing's Starliner crew to finally come home after their planned week in space turned into a nearly year-long trip. News 6's Mark Lehman is live along the coast this morning. And Mark, local businesses there are ready for another crewed flight.
Yeah, owners tell us launches like this always bring in extra foot traffic, and they're expecting it here in Titusville today as people try to get to those prime viewing locations. And all of this is happening as spring break is also getting underway.
Yeah, it's exciting. This place will be packed.
Terry Smith is joining dozens of other campers in Jetty Park, and they're all looking forward to tonight's Crew 10 launch. A big turnout is expected as 4 astronauts will be going to the International Space Station.
Especially important because of the people on board, the astronauts, and the mission that they are going to try to accomplish, bringing back the other ones.
The mission paving the way for a return home for Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. The 2 astronauts have been on the ISS since June when their Boeing Starliner capsule malfunctioned. With the extra attention on this launch, the Space Coast could see a boost in tourism.
There's some, young kids out here, and they're on spring break and they're enjoying themselves.
David Lane is also staying in the park and says he's already seen extra people on the beaches for spring break. With this launch bringing even more into town, businesses in Brevard County could get a boost to their bottom line.
It's great for the economy, and yeah, you guys live down here, so you see it all the time. It's just growing, isn't it?
Yeah, things are only expected to get busier as we get closer to launch time. At this point, it is set for 7:48 this evening. If it happens, you can watch live here on News 6, clickorlando.com, and our News 6 streaming platform. Live in Titusville, Mark Lehman getting results, News 6.
Thank you, Mark. And today's mission comes as we learn about more job cuts coming to NASA. The space agency confirms 3 of its offices are going to close: the Office of Technology Policy and Strategy, the Office of the Chief Scientist, and its Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office. NASA isn't confirming the total number of jobs being cut, but Representative Mike Herodopoulos told our news partners at Florida Today no positions at KSC are impacted. The move is part of a much larger push by the Trump administration to dramatically reduce the size of the federal workforce.
A former Brevard County Corrections deputy will stay in jail without bond after being officially charged with murdering a woman in Titusville. David Barber is accused of killing 72-year-old Jessie Kirk earlier this month. She was found dead near the Hallover Canal. Last week, Barber was only facing charges for stealing Kirk's car and loitering by her condo, but police say they later uncovered evidence that Barber planned Kirk's death. They also say the inside of her garage smelled like someone cleaned the floor with bleach.
A Central Florida man who was the victim of a robbery says he was forced to shoot his gun in self-defense. That gunfire killed one of the robbers, a teenage boy. But now, more than 6 years since the shooting, a judge says Florida's stand your ground law does not apply in this case. All new this morning, News 6 investigator Mike DeForest explains why.
That's the kind of man that they're trying to say is a monster and is trying to take away from his unborn kid.
In 2019, Vanessa Fulcher said she and her husband, Curtis Fulcher, traveled to Orlando to deliver a cell phone he was trying to sell online. That's where the couple was confronted by 18-year-old DeAndre Florence and 16-year-old Denham Williams. Authorities say the teens were responsible for multiple robberies in the area and were about to strike again.
So he's going under his shirt for his waistband as he's snatching the phone.
Vanessa Fulcher told News 6's Eric Von Anken that she and her husband feared for their lives. So Curtis Fulcher grabbed a gun, according to investigators, and began firing at the teens. Florence got away, but at least one bullet struck 16-year-old Williams, killing him. Although authorities acknowledge Fulcher was a robbery victim, prosecutors charged him with manslaughter. Fulcher's attorney later filed this motion seeking immunity and dismissal of the case. The defense cited Florida's Stand Your Ground law, but Circuit Court Judge Diego Madrigal has ruled that Stand Your Ground does not apply in this case. The defendant got out of his car and chased the decedent, shooting at him and eventually killing him, the judge wrote. Perhaps if the defendant had shown self-restraint and fired only one shot while in the vehicle, this motion would be granted. The defendant instead engaged in vigilante justice after a forcible felony had been committed. Fulcher originally pleaded not guilty to manslaughter, but now, perhaps due to the judge ruling against his Stand Your Ground motion, Fulcher is scheduled to change his plea in court next week. Mike DeForest, News 6.
New this morning, plans to close Rockledge Hospital are facing even more pushback, this time from executives at another hospital. As we've been telling you, Orlando Health plans to shut down the decades-old facility next month because of all the repairs that are needed there. But yesterday, the CEO of Parish Medical Center in Titusville told county commissioners he's worried about the strain that the closure will have on other hospitals on the Space Coast, including his.
Never in my 41 years in healthcare have I witnessed such a careless disregard for the health of a community by a fellow healthcare provider. This immediate issue must be addressed for the betterment of that community and our collective community.
City leaders in Rockledge have asked state lawmakers to consider getting involved here. If not, that closure is set for April 22nd.
Florida senators are moving forward with a bill to repeal later start times for high schools. The move would reverse that law that was passed in 2023 that mandated high schools start no earlier than 8:30. Supporters argued it would improve learning, but many districts say they've been struggling with bus shortages and hiring drivers.
The feedback is overwhelming. A state mandate on school start times would present incredible challenges financially and otherwise.
And while state senators do acknowledge the benefits of more sleep, they say it's unfeasible for schools that are struggling with limited resources.
Oh, you'll want to take a moment to check out this video. It shows the moments a woman rode out an EF2 tornado as it ripped through Central Florida on Monday. She was in her car as tree limbs began to fly through the sky. As you could see, now the massive recovery effort is continuing in the aftermath. Early estimates say nearly 52 homes are impacted, and there's about $10 million in damage.
It's just picking up the pieces and putting it all back, and thank God no one on our street was hurt.
This was the strongest tornado to hit Seminole County in more than 25 years. Many families tell us they have no choice but to stay somewhere else while repairs are done.
It's just incredible when you have all these statistics and these records, Candace, with this kind of a tornado coming through that really nobody was injured or even died in this. It's just incredible.
I know, and thankfully, the National Weather Service sending out those warnings minutes before that tornado actually was confirmed and made its way down to the ground. Again, just people listening to those warnings and doing what they needed to do, getting into their safe room and protecting themselves. It was only a 6-minute tornado, by the way. It only was on the ground for 6 minutes, and look at the damage it did. All right, taking a live look outside. We got a bird that's trying to look at him. He's right there. He's trying to pop into my frame here. We're at Cape Canaveral Launch Credit Union camera. Sunrise is at 7:38 in the morning. We're going to continue to see those temperatures at about 46 degrees. Come on, buddy, poke your head out. I see ya. We're at 75 degrees. There he is, or at least that's his tail. He's flashing us right now on News 6 Plus. You only get this if you stream us. We can't show you a bird's butt on television. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast for the Crew 10 launch. That is later on tonight. Speaking of the Space Coast, wind shear is low, solar activity overall, the percentage for a successful launch is good to go. Temperatures will be in those low 70s. We're going to have to watch closely how those wave heights are going to be impacting, though, that potential for that launch. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. We are dealing with a traffic alert right now, though.
Yeah, traffic alert out on the west side, Ocoee area, Colonial Drive at Blackwood. So this is more so affecting northbound Blackwood. This little pond right here that you see me pointing at, there's a vehicle that crashed right into it. Sky 6 had to go land, but we had visuals of that a little while ago. I just posted some up on Facebook, so just be careful this morning. Outside of that, we're doing pretty good. 429 north and southbound, also checking out. Now, yesterday on a patrol, I love when I get to get people in the vehicle with me. Carl Santiago, a buddy of mine, also works for the Orange County Sheriff's Office, also over 30 years of law enforcement experience, is a member of the Central Florida Enforcers hockey team. Big game coming up on April 6th where the firefighters and the cops go at it. Charity raising money. Head to clickorlando.com and check that out. Another charity that's joining me today is the St. Baldrick's Foundation, where firefighters kind of come together to raise money and funds and awareness for children's cancer. And how do they do that? Well, they shave their heads. And we're going to do one today live on clickorlando.com. Join me at 10 o'clock. Guys, back to you.
Looking forward to seeing that. Thank you, Steve. 7:42 now. An antique ambulance is bringing a bit of history to medical students.
Coming up, a look at the vintage vehicle cruising into the record books with a coast-to-coast journey. And a way to fight homelessness head-on, how one local group is working to get results and make a change.
First, though, a new push to make Florida's roads safer just hit the floor of its first legislative committee. What this could mean for drivers, next.
Now, a bill that would make it illegal to drive while holding your phone just had its first committee in the legislative session. And this one is a big one for us here at News 6. Right now, Florida bans texting behind the wheel. The new bill, though, would take things even further, requiring a hands-free accessory for any use of a phone while driving. We've worked for years to strengthen the law after our own Matt Austin was seriously hurt by someone who was texting and driving. We told you earlier this year the push for the new bill is being led by a father whose son was killed by a distracted driver. You can see both of those stories online right now at clickorlando.com/drivingchange.
Happening today, a new push to try and tackle homelessness in Orlando. One local group now taking a stand, trying to find some solutions for the crisis. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez joining us now live. So, Stephanie, how are they planning to do this?
Yeah, Justin, so the League of Women Voters, they really want to keep this issue at the forefront. They're talking about the changes that have impacted the community to, as you said, try to find a solution.
It's just a growing issue.
President of the League of Women Voters, Orange County, Kathy Schmitz, says the group has picked homelessness as this month's hot topic because it's an ongoing struggle in Central Florida.
The reason for choosing this topic this month is to bring some of the voices of people together who really have been working in these areas and lift up the issue so that it is visible.
Unsheltered, Criminalized, and Cast Aside will cover recent developments regarding homelessness, including the new state ban on sleeping or camping on public property. So far this year, about 24 homeless people have been arrested for this in Orlando. Seminole County just arrested its first over the weekend.
Personally, I was able to volunteer with the point in time count earlier in January, and they were finding it was harder to do this year because of the new laws to get an accurate count of our neighbors who are struggling with homelessness.
In November 2024, the city of Orlando announced plans for a large homeless shelter in the Soto district. But on Monday, Mayor Buddy Dyer said the city determined it was not feasible. This is a topic the panel will cover in hopes of getting more people educated on possible ways the city can find a solution.
When we're aware of something, then we start to see it everywhere.
And that's their goal, as I said, to keep the topic at the forefront to try to find that solution. The event starts here at 10:30 at the Winter Parks Event Center, and it will feature local leaders on the panel talking about the homelessness crisis. It is a ticketed event. We do have information on Click Orlando on how you can attend. Reporting live in Winter Park, Stephanie Rodriguez, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. Orange County leaders say they need more time to decide on some long-term solutions when it comes to the future of the TimberScan condo complex. We told you yesterday how people who live at the complex off Texas Avenue voiced their concern over a possible sale and demolition. During yesterday's meeting, commissioners said all of the existing buildings have code violations and they're a threat to public safety. But they're working to find an assistance plan for those who live there so they can move forward with plans.
We see long-term solution as not when we look up, there is a piece of property, 63 acres, that's being used as an asset and a viable option, and it's now something that's treasure to the community and is of worth to the entire community that people want to be.
Commissioners say they hope to have a decision on what comes next in early summer.
Talk about a blast from the past. A 1972 Miller Meteor Cadillac ambulance has just raced into the Guinness Book of World Records. You could hear it there. The vintage vehicle made an epic journey from Hollywood, California to Hollywood, Florida, coast to coast there. And it was just two doctors behind the drive working to raise awareness about medical training.
And I thought this was the perfect opportunity to create an experience that my students could engage with, so I could then put in important medical information into the content that they would pick up.
An official with Guinness World Records confirmed this 3,200-mile trek is the longest distance ever traveled in an ambulance. And it does kind of look familiar to something else, right? Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters, no
Right?
doubt.
Yeah.
You know, it's always interesting to hear those old school sirens, too, because they've changed over the years and over the decades.
It's gone from like an engine actually making a noise to revving it up to just a push of a button.
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
nice.
thing.
That's so interesting. And it also, the seats don't also look very comfortable.
No.
That's a... I bet their tushies hurt by the end of it. You know me, I'm always concerned about the tush. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast.
You did gift Trooper Steve a seat warmer. Tush warmer.
I have a tush warmer over there. I've got leg warmer. I've got it all.
I know.
Candace always taking care of me.
We're very bougie in the weather traffic department. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast across Central Florida. We are into those 40s and 50s. You might want to put your I call it call it tushy toasters in your car, your seat warmers, your butt warmers. Temperatures, I can say anything I want. It's on News 6 Plus. 44 degrees right now. I'm kidding. I'm not going to. 44 degrees right now in Marion County. Got to have fun with it, though. Make the producers nervous. What am I going to say? 46 degrees in New Smyrna. We're at 51 in Orlando. Now let's check on that hour-by-hour forecast for your Wednesday. Our average for this time of the year is 78 degrees. We are climbing up to about 79. Few areas, though, could be flirting with those 80s later on this afternoon. Then later on tonight, it will be a cool evening. Temperatures on average are down into those 50s, but just before sunrise, early Thursday morning, we will also be down into those mid-50s. Along with the cool conditions, there will be that potential for a little bit of patchy fog, and that's really going to be developing up and down 75. So Sumter, parts of Lake Marion County, you might see a little bit of fog between about 6 and 8 a.m. But let's talk about the big event going on later on this week. This is going to be early Friday morning. So when you'll be waking up to watch the lunar eclipse, just think this is the time we all wake up here at News 6. Totality is going to be about 2:56 in the morning. Friday morning temperatures will be cool in those mid-50s. We're looking at those sky conditions ideal as that moon crisscrosses the Earth's shadow. Rather than turning into straight darkness, though, it turns kind of that eerie reddish color, which is why we call it a blood moon. Other than that, though, it's going to be heating up. Speaking of red, look at the Sunshine State as we head into Saturday and Sunday. We're talking about possibly seeing the hottest weekend of the year. Upper 80s Saturday, possibly those low 90s on Sunday before we would start tracking a little bit of rain very, very late Sunday and into early St. Patrick's Day. But before we get the rain, we are going to be dealing with possibly some flirting record temperatures. 88 is our high on Sunday in Orlando. The record to beat is 91, also hitting about 88 in Sanford. Record also set back in the 50s. And as we get results here, their full 7-day forecast, it looks like we're going to continue to keep those temperatures climbing. We'll be seeing the return of the 80s Thursday and Friday, bumping up those rain chances slightly. I don't see either day bringing with it a lot of rain. Most of it could be just moving throughout the overnight hours. And we're going to continue to see overnight lows also on the warming trend, with possibly lows staying in the 70s. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your pinpoint traffic.
Things are okay out here this morning. We are watching this incident out at Colonial Drive at Blackwood Avenue. So the crash alone is in the water out here at the retention pond. That's right there at that intersection. However, Blackwood, there are some first responders off onto the right-hand side blocking that right travel lane. Again, this is out in our Coe area just east of 429. Outside of that, we're starting to see some slowdowns, heavy westbound I-4. Out in the Sanford, Lake Mary area, Heathrow at the 101. There was an earlier crash there. Never found it, so now we're just seeing bumper-to-bumper traffic. Please increase your following distance out here right now as you make your way towards State Road 434. It's the biggest slowdowns that we're seeing in Central Florida, and no major crashes. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Trooper Steve. Oviedo, your next stop for WKMG hits the road. I hope I caught your attention there. Before we bring you the news live from your neighborhood, we want to know which stories you want us to cover. Head to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad right now and fill out the form.
We are counting down to Crew 10's liftoff from the Space Coast. Why this mission is so important next as we check our big stories. 7:55, let's get a check of those big stories. Some live pictures here from Kennedy Space Center as the countdown is on to the Crew 10 launch. 4 astronauts set to head to the space station. And the mission will also clear the way for the stranded Starliner astronauts to finally come home. We'll have live coverage of the launch tonight at 7:48.
Quite a long trip there. A former Brevard County deputy charged with killing a 72-year-old woman in Titusville will be staying in jail. David Barber was back before a judge yesterday after being charged with murdering Jessie Kirk and leaving her burned body near the Hallover Canal.
And a bill is making its way through the legislature that would expand Florida's ban on cell phones in schools. Right now, they're off limits during instructional time, but lawmakers are considering banning phones at all times, even during things like lunch. Candace.
Can we do that here? I'm just kidding. All right, let's talk about your weather forecast across Central Florida. Then we can't give the information we need. 43 in Ocala. We're at 46 in DeLand. 51 right now in Orlando. So it's certainly a nice, cool, dry, clear start. Temperatures this afternoon, though, back into mid-70s. We're going to continue to see the hottest weekend of the year with highs getting very close to near record. By Sunday, 90 degrees possibly would be the first 90-degree day of the year, Steve.
Well, I'm in the process of planning a phone-locked weekend. Not this weekend, but it's coming up soon.
Ooh. I like that.
You put it in a box and just lock it up. Eastbound I-4, super slow, but then gets to normal once you hit the attractions area. So just prepare yourself for that. No major incidents this morning. Turnpike's kind of stop and go down in the Kissimmee area.
All right. Well, Crystal's on her phone right now, but I'm going to take it over. Thanks for joining us. We break news on clickorlando.com.
You can also find all of your stories on your cell phone and our new 6 Plus app for your TV.